Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're joining me today, chances are you're a highly focused learner who's actively looking for real, structured ways to just operate better, right? I mean, have you ever set this bold, incredibly exciting goal, felt totally motivated, and then watched that motivation completely tank just a few weeks later? Maybe life got chaotic, or self-doubt crept in, and you found yourself sitting there frustrated, wondering why you just couldn't stick to the plan? Well, listen, we have all been there. We tend to immediately blame ourselves, thinking, oh, I just didn't try hard enough, or that we're somehow missing this magical internal drive. But today we're going to completely shatter the myth that sheer willpower is the ultimate key to success. Instead, we're going to look at a highly specific structural alternative that actually works with our psychology rather than fighting against it.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this quote perfectly captures the core misunderstanding we have about self-control. Society constantly tells us that if we want to change our lives, we just need to muster up more willpower. But the source material points out that treating willpower like a permanent fix or some kind of magical pill is not just limiting, it's actually damaging. And why is that? Well, because willpower requires energy. It's not this endless, bottomless well. In fact, it operates much more like a physical muscle. And just like any muscle in your body, if you overuse it, it gets fatigued. When you experience mental fatigue, your willpower just plummets, which leads to poor decisions. You really cannot just force your way through major life changes using sheer grit alone.
I want you to honestly think about the last time you gave in to a bad habit, or maybe skipped a task you promised yourself you'd do. Were you, by any chance, tired or super stressed out? It's funny, willpower famously vanishes exactly when the pressure is on. The text highlights this brilliant acronym for this, and it's called HALTS. It stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or sick. When you are experiencing literally any of these HALTS triggers, your energy levels are heavily compromised and your willpower goes right out the window. It is absolutely crucial not to make major decisions or try to force difficult tasks when you're in this depleted state. But if willpower is this fragile and temporary, what exactly should we be relying on instead?
Let's move to how this builds into our long-term solution. There's a very stark contrast between willpower and self-discipline. Willpower is short-term, temporary, and easily depleted. Self-discipline, on the other hand, is a completely different beast. As Aristotle pointed out ages ago, excellence isn't an act, it's a habit. Self-discipline is essentially those automatic, pre-planned habits put into action. The text uses a fantastic analogy here. Think of willpower as the lever Archimedes used to move the world. It's a tool you use temporarily to spark effective habits, but it's not the engine that continuously runs your life. Your goal shouldn't be to wake up and just have more willpower every day. Your goal is to use small, strategic bursts of willpower to build effortless self-discipline. But to do that, we have to face a pretty formidable opponent living right inside our own heads.
Meet the 800-pound gorilla. This is an incredibly colorful, yet highly accurate metaphor for your unconscious mind. I mean, imagine riding on the shoulders of an 800-pound gorilla and trying to politely convince it to turn left when it really, really wants the bananas sitting on the right. Spoiler alert here, the gorilla's going exactly where it wants to go. Your unconscious mind is incredibly fast, super energy efficient, and it absolutely loves habits because they don't require conscious taxing thought. It actively resists change because its main job is to keep you comfortable and safe, based on past experiences. So it uses these sneaky avoidance strategies, like distraction or procrastination, to protect your self-esteem and avoid negative emotions. You literally cannot forcefully steer an 800-pound gorilla with a tired willpower muscle, so we have to outsmart it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the exact mechanics of our avoidance strategies, specifically when it comes to procrastination. Imagine you've got three characters living in your mind. The rational decision maker wants to plan ahead and do the right thing. But the instant gratification monkey, well, he lives entirely in the present moment, prefers absolute comfort, takes the easy way out, and is a total master at distracting the rational decision maker. The monkey basically runs the show, right up until a deadline approaches, and that wakes up the panic monster. The panic monster is literally the only thing the monkey fears. It forces you into last-minute action, usually in a state of absolute sheer stress. It's an exhausting cycle, right? To beat the monkey without having to rely on the panic monster, we need a psychological hack.
And this brings us to the core focus of today's explainer, implementation intentions, also known as if-then planning. This is the game changer. This is where we stop relying on willpower in the heat of the moment and start making our decisions in advance. Implementation intentions are highly specific planning tools formulated simply as, if this happens, then I will do that.
By pre-deciding exactly how, when, and where you'll handle an obstacle, you completely bypass the need to negotiate with that instant gratification monkey. You are actively tackling your own avoidance strategies before they even have a chance to fully form.
Let's look at how beautifully simple and concrete this actually is. Here are some rapid-fire examples straight from the text. If I feel tired, then I will take a 10-minute break and stretch. If I get stuck on a task, then I will take a short walk to clear my mind. Or, my personal favorite, if I procrastinate, then I will set a timer for 15 minutes and just focus. Notice how incredibly specific these are. Because here's the thing, nobody knows your personal avoidance strategies better than you do. You know exactly what excuses you make when things get tough. By writing these specific statements out, you're literally programming a predetermined response into your brain. When the trigger happens, you don't even have to think. You just execute the then.
So how do we put this if-then planning into a larger, actionable framework? Let's take a look at a fantastic, science-backed method developed by psychologist Gabriele Oettingen called the WHOOP strategy. WHOOP is this powerful mental strategy designed to take those vague, fuzzy dreams of yours and turn them into concrete, actionable steps. You see, unlike simple positive thinking, which honestly can sometimes lead to complacency and magical thinking where you just sort of hope things work out, WHOOP forces you to confront reality head-on. It requires you to look directly at the specific roadblocks standing in your way.
Let's just walk through this framework sequentially, as it perfectly moves us directly from a desire straight into practical problem solving. Step 1 is wish. You define a specific, meaningful, and actually realistic goal. Step 2 is outcome. You visualize the best possible result and the process of working toward it. Step 3 is obstacle. This is the big reality check. You have to identify what internal or external challenges, maybe it's emotions, bad habits, specific distractions, might actually hold you back. And finally, step 4 is plan. This is where you plug in your if-then strategy to respond to that exact obstacle. And this brilliantly illustrates how putting all these pieces together ensures that you anticipate the instant gratification monkey way before it even shows up. For example, let's say your wish is to exercise. The outcome is living a vibrant, healthy lifestyle. But the obstacle? The obstacle is that you always feel way too tired after work. So your plan becomes, if I feel too tired after work, then I will put on my workout clothes immediately and do just 5 minutes of exercise. See what happened there? You've completely short-circuited the excuse before it could even stop you.
Now, here is a somewhat tough pill to swallow, but it's vital to understand. Bad habits never truly disappear. The neural pathways in your brain, they're already paved. We can't just erase them with a giant mental eraser. We have to consciously reroute them. When you encounter a trigger, you need an alternate behavior ready to go at a moment's notice. It could be something as simple as walking around the kitchen table instead of opening the fridge. You use your if-then statements to execute this shift. The text even suggests rehearsing these plans physically, like actually pretending to be tired and doing your workout anyway. And if you do get caught off guard, use the radar technique. Reflect, which means pause and examine the emotion. Describe. Put your avoidance into neutral words, like, I feel overwhelmed right now. And respond. Choose a small action perfectly aligned with your values.
Okay, so when it is actually time to execute that respond step or pull the trigger on the then in your if-then plan, hesitation is absolutely your biggest enemy. To conquer that hesitation, you can use the 5-second rule. When you feel the trigger, simply count down in your head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Take action immediately. This little numerical trick acts as the perfect catalyst because it completely interrupts your hesitation. It gives your brain this tiny jolt to act before fear, doubt, or that pesky instant gratification monkey can kick in and talk you out of it.
So the crucial point here is really about how we frame these moments in our own minds. There's a massive difference between having an obstacle perspective versus a challenge perspective. If you hit a wall and ask, why is this so difficult, or what's standing in my way, you're naturally going to feel defeated. But if you shift that to asking, how can I navigate this opportunity, or how will I be better after I get through this, you completely change the entire dynamic. Shifting your mindset from being stopped by obstacles to being motivated by challenges absolutely supercharges your new habits and makes your if-then plans so much more effective.
Well, we have covered a ton of ground today, moving away from that exhausting trap of willpower and stepping fully into the strategic power of pre-planned self-discipline. By understanding how your 800-pound gorilla operates, utilizing the WHOOP framework, and creating highly specific implementation intentions, you are equipping yourself to succeed exactly where you used to struggle. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to consider right now. Think about the rest of your day ahead. What is your if-then plan for the very next obstacle you are inevitably going to face today? Take a moment, write it down, and be totally ready to conquer it. Keep learning, keep planning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.